And I'm back. It is time for one of my final NBA mock drafts. It will probably be the second to last because I imagine I'll make another one on Wednesday with all the up-to-date information the day of the draft. But I know I've been gone for a little bit. I'm sorry about that. I'm coming back after the OKC Thunder have won the NBA championship in 7. I feel bad for Tyrese Haliburton, but I'm glad my team got the championship. Hopefully the start of a dynasty. But the rest of these teams that are about to draft also hope that. And they hope these players that are going to be drafted can be a key piece of that. I think there's a couple players in this draft that could be very great. And this is a deep class. I think the top 8-ish guys could probably go number 1 in last year's draft. That's either a testament to how bad last year was or how good this year is. It's actually probably a mix of both. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. I'm not going to waste any time here because we all know Cooper Flagg is going to go first and Dylan Harper will go second. The only thing with those two is the Spurs look like they are willing to entertain at least offers if it is something insane. Personally, I would not trade that number 2 overall pick for almost anything. The Spurs are not going to be back at this position in a long time. As long as they have Wemby, we hope, unless there's an injury. And sorry about that. That was a loud mouse drop. But Dylan Harper is one of those guys. I think that he can transcend a franchise. He would be a number 1 overall pick without Cooper Flagg. And he's just a great on-ball and off-ball guard. And with his size at 6'6", how lanky he is, how he can just get to the paint with ease, I think he can be a home run hit. And I would rather trade De'Aaron Fox than trade the number 2 overall pick. And I know the Spurs kind of feel similar because they're like, we're not trading that pick unless we get like number 3 and Tyrese Maxey. Even then, I'm like, I think Dylan Harper is a transcendent talent. So 1 and 2, Dylan Harper and VJ Edgecombe will go third. So I don't actually think the 76ers will be picking here, but this is a no-trade mock draft. VJ Edgecombe is an uber athletic guard slasher from Baylor, and the Hornets have shown a lot of interest in him. So I think the Hornets will trade up 1 pick with the 76ers. The 76ers may gain an extra first-round pick and select someone here. But in this scenario with no trades, I do think they would take him. I think he's the next best player on the board over Ace Bailey, which we will discuss in a minute. But I think VJ Edgecombe probably has the next best shot behind those top 2 of being a star in this league because of his just pure athleticism. There's a few other guys like Jeremiah Fears that I could see possibly getting there, but I really do think VJ Edgecombe has that star potential in him. He just needs to finish layups, which is something that he's actually really struggled with, which is odd. Here are the Charlotte Hornets. I hope if they're sticking at 4, they do not take Ace Bailey. Can you imagine a team with LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges, Brandon Miller, Ace Bailey, and Mark Williams as their starting 5? That's why the Hornets have not made the playoffs in the past 5, 6, 7 years. That's why they're a perennial play-in contender. Not even a contender in the play-in. So, I mean, I would hate an Ace Bailey pick. That just goes terrible with the rest of their team. But you know who doesn't? Con Knipple out of Duke. This is more of a lower ceiling, higher floor pick because Con Knipple with his athleticism is never probably going to be a transcendent star in this league. But what he can be is an ultra good role player glue guy who makes the right cuts, makes the right defensive switches, makes the right plays, and is always in the right spot because that's what we saw at Duke. He's also a lights out shooter, which helps his case a lot. And then here with Utah, I really considered only 2 people here, and that was Ace Bailey and Trey Johnson. I think Danny Ainge would like a guy like an Ace Bailey. I think the pure talent is there, but I don't think the 3-point shots necessarily quite there to where Danny Ainge would be willing to pull the trigger. And I think Trey Johnson has everything that Danny Ainge has really looked for in the past. He's got the shooting, he's got the competitive spirit, he's got the shot making, And I think he can be one of those guys who can be a second option on a championship team if he develops to his potential. I'm not sure if he can be that number one, but he definitely can. And I think he might be one of the most developed players offensively in this draft. Probably third behind Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper. I think he's more polished than VJ Edgecombe. I think he's more probably complete than a Con Knipple. And he's definitely a lot more complete than a guy like an Ace Bailey. So I do think just overall complete offensive player, Trey Johnson is that third best guy in this class. Ace Bailey, this just makes sense for the Wizards. They need another guy. They need the guy on that team. Say what you want about Ace Bailey. The tunnel vision, that doesn't play defense, that doesn't want to pass a lot of times. When he's on, and he can be a potential number one guy. Mostly on offense with his shot making. He does have really bad shot selection, which is why he's fallen from almost consensus third overall pick. And I was even saying that he would go there. I'm like, no way VJ Edgecombe goes here. Look at this guy and his scoring. I made a stupid comp. I'm like, I'm not saying he's going to be KD, but he plays with similar styles. No. He's a tall forward that can make some shots, and he does not resemble anything else from KD. He has bad shot selection. I know I'm just dogging on Ace Bailey. I mean, I'm going to get away from that. He is a guy who can be the guy for Washington. They have good players around them, like Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George. They have pieces on that team. Nobody who I can think can be a number one, even though I do really like Alex Sarr and Bilal Coulibaly. I think Ace Bailey could be a guy to really take that franchise to possibly the next level. So that is why he is going here. The Pelicans, I think Jeremiah Fears will be the selection. I don't love small guards. I was listening to Ryan Russillo the other day, and the guy he had on, who's a NBA draft guy, has Fears at 18 because he's like, point to the last time a small guard led a team, especially one who can't shoot like Jeremiah Fears. I think he was in the 20% for his three-point shooting this season. I mean, when he's on the ball, there really is stuff there. He's a great on-ball talent, but everything off the ball, his defense isn't there. He can't shoot. So there are some things that could be a little bit concerning, but he definitely has the potential. If he figures it out, he could be a game changer, get to the rim all the time, and potentially a star. I think behind Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, he's the next most likely to probably become a star. Maybe fifth behind Ace Bailey, but he has the potential to get up there. I am a little bit worried, though, because I do see some bust potential. And then next up, the Brooklyn Nets. I think they're going to get their rim protector, their defensive anchor in this draft, in Common Mavlewatch. This guy is not common. He is a guy who is at 7'2", blocks all the shots, is a great defender, and that's really his game. He's a very versatile defender. He rebounds decently. When he's at the rim, he can actually convert on those paint touches. And I think he's a guy who just all around would be a really good center to start up this Brooklyn rebuild. Next up, the Toronto Raptors. This is a team where you have a lot you could consider. In the end, I did go Derek Queen, though, because Jakob Poeltl's on, I believe, the last year on his deal. And even if he wasn't, Jakob Poeltl isn't a guy that you're going to hold everything back and be like, oh, we can't draft this guy. We got Jakob Poeltl. And apparently, just off topic real quick, apparently they didn't include him in a KD trade, and that was the breaking point. Suns were like, give us Jakob Poeltl. And they were like, no. Okay. I didn't know Jakob Poeltl was that good to you guys. But yeah, Derek Queen, he is an offensive threat. I don't like this fit with Toronto, to be honest. I mean, that team would look nasty. Imagine starting five of Emmanuel Quickley, Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and Derek Queen. That is an offensive team right there if I've ever seen one. The defense just wouldn't be there at all. Next up, the Phoenix Suns. I debated a couple different things here. Couldn't speak for a second. Mainly between three players. And they're all wings because I don't think there's a center here worth taking unless you really believe in Asa Newell to be the guy for you. And at 10, that's just a little rich. Or maybe you believe in Thomas Sorber or Danny Wolf. And I don't think at 10 that's necessarily a spot you're looking. You're looking at the group of guys like the Carter Bryants, the Colin Murray Boyles, and the Noah Esenges. In the end, I decided that I believe they could take Noah Esenge here. He's a guy who I don't love personally. I mean, I just haven't seen it. He flops a lot. But, I mean, in the NBA, that works. And he's a guy where he's only 18. He is 6'10" without shoes, I believe. And he is a pace monster. He pushes the pace. He can be a threat because, I mean, the measurables are there. And that's really what you're going for. You just traded away KD. Why not recoup with some potential assets? Not someone who's going to be solid, but go for the home run because you're not going to retool around Devin Booker and be a competitor. Is that the right word? A competitor with just good guys. I mean, like, no, I'm not going to say that about any of these guys in this class, but I don't love the idea of just taking a solid role player and retooling. I think you got to go for the stars if you're the Phoenix Suns. Next up, the Portland Trail Blazers. This is a team that desperately needs a wing. They have tons of guards. They have Scoot. They have Shaden. They have Anthony. They have a boatload of centers. They got Robert Williams. They got Donovan Clingan. They got DeAndre Ayton. And then you look at their wings, and they actually got quite a bit too. I'm not going to lie. Denny Abdia, Toumani Camara, Jeremy Grant. But Jeremy Grant's going to be gone soon. And Toumani Camara and Denny Abdia will be in that starting lineup. You need other guys to fill in as well. And Carter Bryant has been a big riser, I think for some good reasons, because he is a almost 6'9", 3-and-D guy who can play really good defense and can shoot the three ball. When he actually has to dribble or create offense, it's ugly, so that absolutely would not be his role. But he just slots in as a Jeremy Grant replacement immediately and potential to work his way into that starting role, potentially as a 3 or maybe even sliding him up as a 2 and just having a really big team. So you have a lot of flexibility there with Carter Bryant, and I think it's a team that would really love to have a guy like him. Next up, the Chicago Bulls. I think this is my most controversial pick in this mock draft. I've seen people most of the time going bigs here, and that's what I went with. You look at the bigs that are available, and it's nothing you love. Asa Newell's kind of been sliding because he's a decent post defender. He's a decent post scorer. He doesn't do much else, to be honest. He can't really shoot the three ball. He shot it a lot at Georgia, actually. Not at a good percent. I think it was like 25%. Those shots won't go up in the NBA. And you're looking at the big guys here. It's rough, except Danny Wolf is here. And with that team, they want to push the pace. Danny Wolf is basically a point guard in a 7-footer's body. He is very elusive, very mobile. He passes the ball. His playmaking's insane for a center. He's a very unique guy. And out of everyone that he would work into their system with, I think the Bulls are one of the top ones because he can run, he can pass. Having Josh Giddey and Danny Wolf out there as playmakers should really elevate the rest of the team, hopefully. And I think that he can be a guy who really could be a good center for this Chicago team. So that's why Danny Wolf out of Michigan is the pick. Next up, Atlanta. This is a guy who I've kind of fallen in love with. He is a guy who is low on this. Former D3 guy, only played 6 games this year, but he is explosive athletically. He can shoot the three. He's a slasher. People have been making Jalen Williams comparisons. I don't personally see it, not with the athleticism, but he does play similar play style at times. And I think he can develop into being a decent role player in the league. And I think he would really, really fit into this Atlanta system with Trae Young. It is Cedric Howard. And I just think I really like this guy, and I hope he goes to OKC, to be honest. Next up, The San Antonio Spurs. This is a team where they'd probably be licking their chops if this scenario rolls around, because you got a lot of good guys that you can pair up with Wemby. I mean, Kasparas Giannakis, who is going to be the pick here. He is a guy who is projected to go top 10 for a long time, potentially even top 5. The first half of his year looked amazing. The pick and roll stuff with him, the running the offense, I think you put that on the bench of San Antonio. I know you already picked Dylan Harper, and that's another guard. But I think the value here is too good to pass up. And the only other guys I think they would consider would be Colin Murray-Boyles and Rasheer Fleming. And looking at Colin Murray-Boyles, I see a lot of Jeremy Sochan in that. And I don't think you want another Jeremy Sochan on that team's bench. So I think just going with Kasparas Giannakis, who's probably the best available here, would be the best move. Next up, the OKC Thunder. This is a guy who, for some reason, has been taking a little bit of a tumble recently. But I watch him, I see a guy who can be a prototype. And that is Rasheer Fleming. This is what OKC needs now. They don't need guys who can light it up off the bench. Although they kind of do. But I think they believe enough in Topic to not need to take a guy like a Jace Richardson here. They need guys who can fill roles on OKC. And when I was watching those series, I'm like, what are we missing? And what I thought is we were missing a big physical 4 who is big, tall, lanky to defend the bigger forwards like a Pascal Siakam or go up against a double big lineup. And I think Rasheer Fleming can turn into that. He's a guy who shoots the ball, lights out from 3. He's not there offensively developing his own shot, but we don't need that on OKC. And I think he can just fill in and be an excellent role player for this OKC team. Next up, the Memphis Grizzlies. This is a team that just traded Desmond Bane. I think they're retooling with some more guys. And, I mean, at this point, Colin Murray-Boyles was almost too good of a value. His defensive prowess, his shot making at times, I think he can be a really good guy off this bench. Memphis is a team that maybe needs a little bit more bigs, especially with the Zach Edey injury and his speeding and just all the weird stuff going on with Zach Edey. I think a guy like Colin Murray-Boyles, who plays bigger than he is, he's only 6'7", but he plays like a 6'10" center. Really, with his defensive hounding, everything that he does, I think he could really kind of bring back the grit and grind Memphis Grizzlies. So that is a player who I think they would enjoy having in Memphis. Next up, the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a team that likes their big size. They like being really, really big. And Asa Newell is that. He is 6'10", 6'11", and he's just a great post guy. And for a team that is going to lose potentially Naz Reid, I think this can be someone that fills in. I think they would have really liked getting Danny Wolf here to kind of be that offensive threat, kind of like how Naz Reid was. But I think Minnesota sees Asa Newell in that size and that defensive prowess that he has at times. And I think they can see him turning into a really good bench, coming off the bench, big guy. I think they see the volume of threes that he shot last year. They didn't go in, per se, but I think they could see maybe being able to mold that shot. And with someone with that trigger, I think, who knows, that could always turn into something really good for that team. At this spot, Washington, I didn't really think they needed more guards. They did take Ace Bailey earlier, not a guard there. Sorry, I just touched the mic if you heard of that. But Jace Richardson's too good of a value. Best shooter in this class. Maybe Con Knippel's a better shooter, but he's one of the best shooters in this class. He's a guy who can formulate their own offense, and I think at this spot, just too good of a value for Washington to pass up a guy in Jace Richardson that I really, really like. Next up, the Brooklyn Nets at 19 are going to take... There's a couple guys they could take. Yeager Demons an obvious one. He's one that has slid, and I'll explain that later, but he will not be going here. Joan Berringer. They did take Common Malawach earlier, so I'm not going to give them double centers. Will Riley's a guy I like. Thomas Sorber's a guy I like. But in the end, one of the most polished guys in this class. He can really do everything. He is a bit older, but I think you get him into that building, and Neek Clifford can be a guy who can develop into something and really just be an all-around plug him anywhere that you want. Just develop him. I don't think Brooklyn can take a ton of just raw prospects. I think they need to have some guys that are polished at some level, and Neek Clifford definitely is that. He's kind of Terrence Shannon Jr. on steroids, just minus the strength. He can do a lot more than Terrence Shannon could do at Illinois. Miami, the Heat. This is a team that kind of needs a little bit more guards. I mean, you look at their depth chart and it's like Tyler Hero, and then outside of that, you're looking at Terry Rozier, Davion Mitchell, Alec Burks, Pele Larson. According to this, Dwayne Wade. They need more guards, and I really like Will Riley here. I mean, he just kind of feels like a Heat to me. The way he can score, the way he takes shots. I think he could really be an interesting thing for Pat Riley to work with, and I just made that connection. Will Riley, Pat Riley. I don't know if they're connected or not, if they're related. I don't think they are, but same last name. Or not Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, the head coach. I don't think he's Pat Riley's grandson. I'll tell you that. I don't think that. Next up, the Utah Jazz. Will this be the spot Yeager Demon goes? He's from BYU. It would make sense for him to stay in Utah. But Utah already has a ton of guards, and they took Trey Johnson earlier. So of course they're not. They're going to take Thomas Sorber out of Georgia. I almost said Georgia State. No, not Georgia State. Georgetown. Georgetown is... I don't know why I'm talking about Georgetown. Thomas Sorber is a guy who, when he's in the paint, is dominant at times. Especially when he was in those conference games in college. He really dominated at times. He does have a foot injury that's worrying some teams. But I think his ability to just be an old school big could be something that Utah wants. I know they have Walker Kessler, but I think you can get some value out of him. And I think Thomas Sorber can do mostly the same things that Walker Kessler does. Next up, the Atlanta Hawks, who did take Cedric Coward earlier, and for that reason, they will not be taking Yeager Demon because they already got a guard in this class. Instead, it is a riser in Joan Berenger. I'm going to be honest, I don't know too much about him. He is a 6'10 guy from France, has a little bit of slower footwork, but he is a big center, and that is something that the Atlanta Hawks need. They need another guy to just kind of anchor that defense in the post when Trae Young inevitably gets beat. So Joan Berenger could be a good guy for that. And at this point, I thought it was too much of a slide for Yeager Demon for him to go any further. So with this spot, the New Orleans Pelicans take Yeager Demon. Let me tell you why I had Yeager Demon falling so far. So, obviously the talent's there. 6'9 guard who can pass at an elite level. He's Josh Giddey. He's Josh Giddey at 6'9 with not as good scoring, and he can't shoot. In today's NBA, who wants someone off the bench who needs the ball to succeed, can't score, only play makes? Maybe I'm undervaluing the need for a guy like that. He can play a little bit of defense with his length. I just don't see him ever being a elite scorer in this league, an elite shooter in this league, elite defender in this league. Most of what he does is play make, and I don't know what the market right now is for a 6'9 playmaker who doesn't shoot well at all. He was 41% from the field last year. 41. That's not 41% from three. That's 41% from the field. That's obviously not ideal. So that is why he fell. But honestly, the value there, he has the talent. So I think he could go there. Now, from now on out, these are people where it's like, I don't know too much about them. I know some of these guys, but they're just not like, I think there's a tier. I think you get past Yeager Demon, past Joan Berenger, and then there's a drop. And this is where it starts. At this spot, I had the Thunder taking Nolan Traore. I honestly don't know too much about Nolan Traore and how he plays. I know he was a high valued recruit, not a recruit, but like going into this year, he was projected to maybe go in the top 10. He kind of fell off. I think if anybody's in for a project, it could be OKC, and I think they could see what he was projected to be and take him here. And then you have the Orlando Magic, who still kind of need some scoring off the bench. Even though they did get Desmond Bane, they got rid of Cole Anthony, and I think someone who can kind of replace that production there is Walter Clayton. He is a 6'3" guard, a little bit on the smaller end, but at Florida, he was national champion, and he could really make the shots. He took some ballsy shots at times, especially from the mid-range, and he made them. I think he can be a spark plug off that bench if it is called upon him. Next up, the Brooklyn Nets have back-to-back picks. I'm going to take Liam McNeely here, just because of the shooting that he did have. He kind of fell off towards the end of his UConn tenure, but I think the shooting, I think the all-around game at times, I think that can translate to the NBA, and I think Brooklyn can see enough to maybe take a swing on him in the late 20s. And then with this pick, I don't know much about this guy at all. I've seen him in the 20s for most of the draft. I'm going to be honest. Once you get past this point, it's guys where I'm like, I've seen good things, so put him there. Ben Seraph out of Israel. We're just going to speed past these. Boston Celtics, they need a center. They need a big. Maxime Reynaud is a beast. He averaged 20 and 10 at Stanford. He's 7'1". I believe he's like 7'1", 250. Yep, there it is, 7'1", 250. And he's an experienced guy. He actually didn't, well, in college he's experienced. He's a senior. He didn't start playing college ball, he didn't start playing basketball until a while ago, but he really dominated in that ACC conference that Stanford's now in, and I think he could be an impressive add for the Celtics. And then with the Suns here, they need a big. There's another big from the Big East this time that has impressed me all year long with Ryan Kalkbrenner. He is, actually, why did I say that? He has not been impressing me all year long because I wasn't watching Ryan Kalkbrenner. But I've heard good things about him, and I think if Phoenix really needs a big, this could be a guy to fill the gaps. And finally, the Clippers get an athletic wing who can do a lot of stuff, and Edu Thiero. And there's my draft. So I might actually put out a what I would do draft tomorrow. I'm probably not going to do a full another video about this, about a draft. If there's anything big that happens on Wednesday, on the day of Wednesday, before the draft, I might make it short talking about it and tweaking my mock draft a little bit. But I don't think I'll post a whole nother one of these. Except tomorrow I might do a what I would do. If you came from the shorts, thank you. And I'll see you later.